Well, now we're going to have a program, and touched on this last week. Skip Wrape is our program. You know, we all know Skip, and he's a great Rotarian. He helped build a school for orphans in Haiti, and that alone would just be amazing service, and you could probably shut it down and still be a great Rotarian forever. But Skip is constantly active in trying to build community in our club. He's been instrumental in starting the Barbecue Fest involvement by our club, and we know how big of a success that's been. It hasn't completely eroded all of the work you did for the orphan, Skip, but it's close. But now, what we don't have in results there, we have really got a sense of community. And if you've not been part of the Barbecue Fest, you've got to, and half of it's Skip. I mean, just being around Skip, it's infectious, he's fun, he makes you want to be involved. And Skip is, as I said last week, he's kind of a big deal in the biosciences community. He's a part owner in a local operation called River City Biologicals. He's an owner of some companies in Tyler, Texas, and all of them are involved in the biosciences arena, aka blood and guts. And that's why we have the special meal today. So it fits appropriately with what Skip's going to talk about.
If anybody brings a big green egg to the picnic, don't let Dave Gross get next to it.
Oh, okay.
He opened my lid and it still isn't. And it's broken half.
I'd file a claim with Skip then. He's the sheriff. All right, well, please give a hearty welcome to Skip Wrape.
This is going to be the longest classification talk you guys have ever heard. I think some of you know my business and some of you kind of know what I do. I did this 9 years ago when I first moved back to Cape Girardeau. And I think some of you remember that time when I brought some of the stuff that we give off as Christmas presents. And I wanted to introduce myself back to the Cape community. I call Cape home. I moved here in 1963. My family came down from St. Louis, and my dad was involved in the meatpacking industry here. The family bought Central Packing Company, which used to be, down off of Spring Street. And so I went to 7th and 8th grade here, and then I ended up 1 year in St. Louis at high school, and then finishing up Notre Dame. But I do call Cape home, and I went to work for my father down there. And so I kind of learned all kinds of the facets of the meat industry, and that helped me. What was important to know is why they slaughter what they slaughter, how in a slaughter line can you get different animal tissues and glands for the biological industry, and also how you deal with the USDA. Documentation is so important that you've kind of got to know how to go about doing that. So even though I didn't have a biological background, I did have a background in the meat industry. I left my father in 1980. I knew that he was having some problems. He ended up losing the plant in 1981. And he literally lost everything when that went down. He had been flooded twice. He was part of the Chicago Union, and then also medium-sized meat packers, they just couldn't make it. The competition was unbelievable. But I had learned a little bit, and so I started exporting. I first went to work for an English company, and I learned how to do beef tongues, kidneys, and livers, and things like this off of a slaughterhouse. And then I got into the pharmaceutical side down in Dallas, Texas. And I worked for a guy who wasn't the most honest guy in the world. So after 2 years, I ended up leaving, and I started my own company, Animal Technologies. Animal Technologies, we started doing tissues and glands and some serums. I couldn't get into fetal bovine serum at that time, which I'll talk a little bit about more later. But what I did is we were doing tissues and glands for research where they extract enzymes, hormones, and proteins. And slowly but surely we built up. It worked out where my father came to work for me for over 10 years. And I probably couldn't have made it if he hadn't come down and really helped me. Because he looked over the production while I was selling as hard as I could sell, and calling and going. So been real fortunate with Animal Technologies. But I didn't have any customers in Tyler, Texas. And again, I'm a salesman. So I had some girls that took care of the office there and some other people. I've got about, I don't know, maybe 28 employees down there. I moved to Colorado for a while and doing some similar businesses, and then I knew I had to get back to Cape, both to raise a family. My father was here. I had a daughter that went to SEMO, And so I moved back to Cape. And one of the first things I did is I had to look for a Rotary Club, because Rotary is really important in my life. I figure it's really a good way of giving back. And I've had good experiences in Tyler, Texas. I had good experiences in Colorado. That's where a lot of my friends were from. I was president of that club. It was a very active club. So I came down here looking. And you know, obviously I gave a talk to this club and joined the Cape West Rotary Club, and I haven't regretted it for 1 second, because this is a good, active club. I have a lot of good friends in here, and it worked out real well. So anyway, now I've been back in Cape 9 years, and we started River City Biologicals. River City started out a little tough. At the very beginning, I was promising business that didn't come about, but we have worked it into being successful. Let's start with the one thing that I like to talk about that's kind of fun, if you guys remember, is we got known for our Christmas presents that we give away at Animal Technologies. Every year we send out a Christmas present that's usually animal-based for our customers. And I really do think that some of our customers stay in business with us just so they get their Christmas present. Because, you know, but you know, when you're getting on 20-something years, you can't hit a home run every year. It's hard. But so some years we don't do so good, some years we do good. But, you know, the girls in the office, and we always have a poem that goes with it. It was fun. But the way it started was with this. And the girls in my office thought I was crazy. This is a cow ear, but it's from a Brahma, from down in Costa Rica. And then they made it into leather. So what I did is I ordered about 40 of these, and I told the girls, I said, go to Walmart and let's get some glue gun, put flowers in there, and send them out to our customers. They said, Skip, you are nutty. You're crazy. What are you doing? So finally sent them out. The phone started ringing. As a matter of fact, we found out that ConAgra had one of these on their board of directors table. They put one of our cow ears. So that's basically what started it. And then the girls in my office really became believers after that, that the Christmas present would get us some attention. So then we've gone on to, well, then we got into the different cups. This is one we used to do, and I still do quite a bit of eyeballs. One reason I'll do pig eyes, cow eyes, and one reason is to teach ophthalmologists, even veterinary ophthalmologists. We'll send them to a Holiday Inn where they all have to do the test, so that we have to have them there at a certain time. So we sent out one, here's looking at you, and then inside the coffee mug, once the coffee went down, you got the deal. Pass it around if you would.
That's not very
Okay, then the one year we had a lot of fun. I don't know, who knows what this is? You guys remember this? We filled this up with candy and gave it out. This is a bull scrotum. This also was a big hit. Then one year. Oh wow! Then one year, who knows what this is?
I'm afraid to ask.
Horsewhip, new game. No, this is a bull penis from Costa Rica that we gave out. And I used to say Estados Unidos muy grande, because this is a United States bull penis. This is a Costa Rica. We have a lot of fun with this, and of course people they like this. Now you can't hardly get these because the dog chews are really taking up. It's a big business on the bull penises.
Big business.
This one was already broken at one time, but this is one of the best ones too. I remember when I bought these. I got these down in Costa Rica, and they're femur bones. And we do a lot of bones. As a matter of fact, this brings me into talking about one of the Intech products. We started in the early 90s with a company called Creative Biomolecules, and they wanted to use a protein out of calf bone. So we started getting on the FDA approvals, and it took forever, 11, 12 years, samples, do this, do that. Finally, we did get approved. And basically, if you're an orthopedic, you've heard of Stryker Labs. They have a product called OP1. OP1 is a pour-in bone replacement, and it's an elastomer plus a protein. And if you break your leg really bad, they can put this on, and it will heal, and it will harden, and it'll continue to grow. Well, we're the bone of it. And now they're trying to get away from the animals, so we're not doing so much. But anyway, down in Costa Rica, I got these. These were hand-painted. by an artist in Costa Rica. I had no idea he was going to be this good. He did 40 of them, all with different scenes. And you can tell it's not on an even surface. These were hand painted, unbelievable, and they only cost me like $10 each. So we gave those out as Christmas presents. Here's another good one. Who knows what this is? Yep, it's poop in a box. We used to have an animal technologies thing on here, but basically we gave that out years ago.
They're their best customers. For sure. Yeah, that's what we
I'm going to get into another product. I think I was just up there this week on this one. This is very interesting, and this one's really growing. I'll take it out of here.
Hope it's not another peanut.
It started out, this is the skin of a fetal calf. Fetal calf is a calf that hasn't been born. So we take the hide off. The hide, which is on my briefcase, and you had to use tubes because you got to get the pattern right. That's a fetal calf hide. Wow. And why would you use a fetal calf hide? Well, it hasn't been outside the placenta, and basically it's not going to have any nicks, cuts, scratches, or anything like that. We sell it to a company up in Boston who makes it into a, I think it's in here, yeah. What they do is they make it into like a little leather patch. The competition to this is Jewish scrolls. Your scrolls that go into a Jewish synagogue are written on fetal calf skin. So that's my competition to it. But these are used in brain operations. That's how it started. If you had an operation, they wanted to replace the membrane, they use this. And you can feel it. Don't be afraid. This is already out of the package. It won't be used. And I also have some smaller ones here that are just amazing on how tough they are. Now they're using them on burns. They're using them on hernias. They're also, what else did he tell me? There was something the other, oh, diabetic problems in the feet. They'll put these in, and what happens is, this is completely inert, and it's so tough, basically the human body will take it and blood will start to go through it and will integrate with it. So that's why they've been very successful. So we're doing like 6,000 fetal calf hides a year making these products.
It's right here.
Oh, okay, good.
Did you want it back?
No, that's fine. No, that's all right. Now, some of the other products we get involved in are pork pancreas glands. That is probably in my business the one that you guys might recognize the most. And pork pancreas glands was always used by Eli Lilly and Nordisk in Europe for insulin. The insulin that his pancreas makes is one amino acid away from human. So Eli Lilly would take it, change one amino acid, and that's what people used to give the shot in. Now it's recombined. That means you can still get it that way, but they don't use it as much as they used to. They can duplicate it. But that's probably a good example. We also do horse hearts. We do a lot of horse hearts for cytochrome C. It's used in cancer patients, and I'm not exactly sure how. Another good one is, and it took me a while to figure out how they were using it. I probably sell 100 to 150,000 pounds of bull testicles a year. Of course, the competition is Rocky Mountain oysters. And then finally, we put this up, and they'd say, oh, well, what we do is we make hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid also comes from chicken combs. And it's a light acid that is used in makeups and things like this. But I asked Sigma, who Norm's son even works for, I asked a Sigma guy one time, what are you guys doing with all these bull testicles you're buying? They go, our biggest customer is Visine. So you're not hearing Visine advertise that. But that's where the hyaluronic acid is going. Of course, we have gotten into the Christmas spirit with the calf hides, with of course the stocking, and this has been for a wine bottle. So we've given those out as Christmas presents. A couple years ago, we went with the pen holder pig snout. It worked out real well for all the business guys. Just love that one for putting on their desk. I go on call on some people, and some people have 18 years of their animal technologies Christmas that they got better collection than I've got.
You get any Indian squaws to chew this leather for you?
No, I haven't done that one. I haven't got that one. We did this is the logo for Animal Technologies. So we basically, it's a little puzzle you can take out. That was one of the years. We've also done, with bones, we've also done some chimes. I don't have one. We had a flying pig one year, different things like that. This was 2012. We had to make up, this was good for an office, cowhide. Oh, those are pleasure diggers, yeah. And then last year, one that was a big hit. You guys can see this. It's for business cards. I'll pass it around so you know. But just when I went to Boston, this guy had it on his desk. He says, "Oh, I love my cow pie." It's even got a little hay in it. I don't know how they did that.
Hey, keep that one. It's good.
Yeah. Don't get it
Did these presents exist before you ordered them, or did you create them?
90% of them existed before, and then we have thought of a few. We have created our own. We searched the internet looking for different animal ones that might work, but in some of them, we came up with the idea. Another good one was the back scratcher. We do a lot of chicken serum. Animal Technologies, we're the largest supplier of other serums other than fetal, which I'm going to get into in a second. We do chicken serum, we do donkey serum, calf serum, pig serum, and all kinds of different serums that are probably used in veterinary biologicals and things like that. But let me talk about fetal bovine serum. Fetal bovine serum is now what we're using a lot of, or doing at River City Biologicals, and the market has gone crazy on it. Fetal bovine serum started being used in the 30s and 40s. As a matter of fact, your first polio vaccine was developed on fetal calf serum. And a lot of vaccines since. There's a lot of drugs that are made on fetal bovine serum in the FDA logs or whatever, and some companies can't get away from it. Other companies have tried to get away from it and tried to find an alternative because they said, "Oh, we don't want animal stuff." Well, what happens is they found out that fetal bovine serum is kind of like it's a God thing. It works, there's components in it that nobody can duplicate. You can put as many little things in as you want, but how do you make all the matrix of growth factors? Another thing is cows and horses are different than people in the mammalian scheme of things. Cows do not give a lot of antibodies to their young. It doesn't pass through the placental wall. So what happens is a calf really doesn't get a lot of antibodies until it sucks colostrum. When it makes that first suckling, it will spike a protein equal to when it's about a year old. So it is, that's how powerful colostrum is in a pig. But that's why we use fetal bovine serum, because it will not fight the cells. Think of it this way. I'm producing a serum. What we do is we go out to slaughterhouses, we collect the blood whenever a pregnant cow comes down. We usually don't know it. We got guys sitting there waiting. When a pregnant cow comes, we take the placenta comes off to the side, we'll cut the calf out, we'll hang the placenta, we'll get all the blood that comes from the placenta itself back in through the umbilical cord. There's somebody else dropping.
That was not me.
I know. So then what we do is we bring the blood and we'll save it from all kinds of slaughterhouses, and by 9:30 every morning, UPS drops it off at our place down here. We'll have anywhere from 5 to 15 coolers coming from Portland, Oregon, Upper New York, Florida, all over, full with fetal bovine in a bag. And it has to. Obviously, I cannot have a lot of bacteria, and I cannot have a lot of broken red cells. They're going to judge me based on the protein, on the hemolysis, which is the hemoglobins, in the way I handle it, and also in the endotoxins, which endotoxins are relevant to how much bacteria might be in the product. And to grow it, they want it low. So we keep it cold, we bring it in here, we centrifuge it. We spin it down in these machines that look like washing machines, and when we spin it down, serum comes to the top. I get to sell about 56% of what I buy in blood. This market has really gone crazy here as of late. I'm paying, on average, $100 a liter for blood, 1 liter of blood. And from a fetal calf, I probably average 0.75 liters over all my collections. But if you get a great big Holstein, I can get 3 and 4 bags. Sometimes I get 2, sometimes I only get 1 of blood. We pay that to the packing house. Then I have to process it, I turn around and I sell it. And here recently, the pricing has really gone up. I'm selling for $250 a liter. And we sell 500 liters at a time. It is a little scary the way the price has been going up, because they've been climbing up like this. And yeah, a lot of people are complaining. And we're going to hit a time when the researchers and also the universities are going to say, you guys have made this too expensive, and it's going to go boom. So we've got to be aware that when it's over, it's over. Part of it has been, there's 2 factors in the fetal bovine industry right now. One has been there is a shortage. You guys are all aware of, try to go out and buy a steak, see how much that costs. And part of the problem has been droughts. We've had 2 big droughts in Texas. We had a big drought in the southeast, 3 years ago. And this is all compiled onto, we usually have where cows and calves run a cycle of about 7 to 10 years. And what happens is the farmers will say, calves are too cheap, I'm selling everything. Then all of a sudden, calves are expensive, now I want to be in the business, I'm not selling them. So we go through this little market thing. Most farmers have no idea that I'm sitting there waiting for that blood. You can imagine, most of them don't. And because it can mean so much money to the meat packer, as you can probably imagine. I know Dutch Meyer, he used to know and go out and buy pregnant cows when the time was good, because he knew he could make a lot more money off of that. But you don't want heifers. If you're going to a fat cattle plant, if heifers are pregnant, they're not putting on fat as well. So you really don't want them pregnant. So there's always a trade-off there. But anyway, serum, the reason serum's gotten so expensive is there's less calves out there right now. And also you have big companies that are fighting for market share. And I'm talking GE Healthcare bought Hyclone. They've got billions and billions of dollars, and they want market share. You got Life Tech, which is now Thermo Fisher, which is another $8 billion company. They're out there, they want market share on this. You got Sigma Chemical sitting up in St. Louis. They can't get supply, yet they've got all the customers at the universities calling them wanting fetal bovine serum. Now you've got a new company called Serum, which partnered up with VWR. Anybody that's ever ordered scientific equipment before has probably heard of VWR. Anyway, they say, hey, we're in the game, we got a lot of money, here, let's go. So the competition of getting market share is going like this. It's a good thing for me right now. But in all businesses, you know how things change. So that's kind of the way that the fetal goes. Another thing we do here at River City, which that freezer that I bought down on Southern Expressway used to be my dad's old freezer. He built that in 1978 to get up to high ground. He got flooded twice. 1973, he got flooded really bad, and the Corps of Engineers said it was a 200-year flood. 1978, we're pathing, and it was a mess. But so he finally built that freezer down there in 1978. Those panels were made by a DuPont company that was here in Cape Girardeau at the time, as a matter of fact. It's the largest private freezer between St. Louis and Memphis. So I can put about 16 loads of material in there. And I thought it was good when we started the Sigma material of flaking. Because what Sigma will do is they'll say, okay, I want pork pancreas glands. And I want it, because I'm going to put them in a fermenter, a 40 or 50 pound block of pork pancreas glands are hard to deal with. So we have a machine that flakes it up frozen. We bring it in, throw it down frozen. This thing will flake it up, and it starts to look like mulch you put around your trees. And from the mulch that goes like that, we put it in 25 pound bags. We put it into combo bins, right back in the freezer. Matter of fact, that meat is only out of the freezer not even 30 minutes, so it doesn't thaw. Why is that important? If meat thaws, enzymes degrade. Remember, they're going for an enzyme. They're not going to eat it. So it's really important that I handle it correctly. So we send up big combos up to St. Louis. And then all these guys do is take 25 bags and throw them into the big fermenters. They got huge fermenters up there. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, you'll think about it next time. You know when you're going up there right before you get to Anheuser-Busch, you go around the corner and you're on 55. If you look to your left, there's a building there that has more pipes coming out of it. You know, it kind of gets your attention because you go, what is that thing? That's Sigma Chemical. And they're the largest reagent manufacturer in the world of biological material, things like that. So we do a lot for them. We also do a lot for Carry Biosciences. Some interesting things. I've done a lot of beef spleen. The spleen, I don't have a lot of competition. It's either pet food, it's mostly pet food. But for me, I sell it to people. That's where they get iron. They extract ferritin. So if you've ever buying something that says iron added, iron fortified, it's going to probably come from a cow spleen. That's something that we would supply. Bovine hearts, alkaline phosphatase. There's a lot of different enzymes, hormones, and proteins they'll extract from these different tissues to make drugs and pharmaceuticals. So I'm the blood and guts of it. That's why we tease with Derek that somebody's got to do this, but I don't know. People just Skip, how could you do this? You don't even know what they're making. Well, if you think about it, there's that doctor sitting in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and he knows exactly what he wants to make, and he needs a gland from pig, horse, goat, sheep, something, and he has no idea where to go get it. He needs me. So I'll go get it for him. I know how to handle it, just because it's got to be frozen, trimmed. You don't get enzymes out of fat. We make sure we get them the right thing, and then they can do their work. So that's how we put it together.
Skip,
Yeah.
so do you contract with slaughterhouses, or I mean, where do you get your product?
I contract with slaughterhouses.
Okay.
All over. I've been in Central America since 1990. I've been saving fetal bovine serum. Right now we're doing it in Costa Rica and Mexico. We have it in Nicaragua, Guatemala, and Panama. And I'll go down there and I will contract with them. That I'll buy your serum for this. And of course, it's like everything else, got to pay for it on time. Here in the United States, we'll go out and we'll contract for, like next quarter, most people want to sell on a quarterly basis. I want 3 loads of this, 2 loads of that, something along those lines. I was backing off. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
So in the slaughterhouses, if your people aren't on staff there picking out this stuff, though, you've got, how do they?
Well, the yes and no. When it comes to the tissues and glands, really and truly my people are. Going out of Tyler, Texas, I didn't mention that Animal Technologies has grown to probably do 70 to 80% of the universities and research labs in the United States with large animal tissues and glands. And I am very fortunate to have mostly Mexican, Puerto Rican workers that have been with me for a long time. And they really are good about getting on a kill floor, knowing where to go, get it, and then trimming it up accordingly and bringing it back to our lab. So my people will go out and get that stuff themselves. Fetal, we try to get the plant to collect. In San Antonio, Texas, I have my own 3 people there. They're doing the hides for the brain stuff, and they're also collecting fetal bovine there. Those are my employees. So yeah, my employees have to go in. If you rely on a meat packer, they're usually going to goof it up. You got to think you got a whole different mentality going here. From a biological person that has to be cleaner than food, then you got it usually doesn't work. Yeah.
These machines you talk about spinning, are they kind of like centrifuges?
Yeah, they are. They are centrifuges. They're static centrifuges. And what they are, they've got 4 to 6 buckets in them. We spin it at about 4,600 RPMs for about a half an hour. They're refrigerated. Again, we don't want the blood to get warm because it might start growing bacteria. So as these things spin around, it'll separate, because blood has 3 components: serum, fibrinogen, and red cells. I want the serum. Sometimes I do some plasma, but we want to keep then we have to put an anticoagulant in it. And we do a lot of that for testing machines. People buy plasma so they can test human machines, and they're not using human blood to do it. It's basically safer. Yes, Steve?
Skip, what's happening with your government regulation over the last 10 years?
Oh, Steve, it's unbelievable. I mean, I have girls that do nothing but documents. And it really has separated the men from the boys. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, literally you could do this in your garage. And you could have a centrifuge and you could pull it off. Nowadays, no. A very good decision that we made in in 2000 was we weren't monitored. I sell to FDA and I sell to drug people, but then I collect from USDA people. But neither one of those wanted to really look after us, even though the USDA signs off on documents we collect. But we weren't monitored. So who says we're doing something right? Finally, we went out and we got to be ISO. I don't know how many of you are familiar with being ISO certified, 9001. But what it does, it's a quality program. The easiest way to do it is if you say you do it, you better document you do it. And so we did it. It cost $35,000. My girls went kicking and screaming to begin with. Then after we did it, they said, whoa, we're getting a lot of business. People are calling up. We say we're ISO. They said, we don't even need to take an audit. You get the business over the competition. It really went a long way, Steve, on the documentation. Nowadays, here in town, we're APHIS certified. We're ISO certified in Texas. APHIS, ISO, which is the International Serum Industry Association for traceability. If I say the serum's coming from Costa Rica, I have to prove it. I have to prove that I bought almost 1,000 liters of blood, 1,200 liters of blood, show you that I have 500 liters of serum. I have to be able to prove that. So, to be certified. So it is very, very, very important nowadays. Unbelievable. And we've caught, this past year they found somebody cheating in Austria, and that hasn't helped us. GE bought them, and it's been a big deal in the industry. Yeah?
Skip, I have a bovine heart valve. Do you do that kind of thing?
I have before, yes. I have before. I'm not at the current time. But yes, and what it is, it's a pericardium. It's the sac that goes around the heart. And it's almost like the stuff you were feeling here. You can't rip it. You just can't tear that stuff. And they'll take it out, and they want to know a certain density to it. And I used to save it at a plant in Kansas. And also, my company was one of the first ones, I don't want to go over it, one of the first ones to save in Australia. People want New Zealand, Australia, because they think they walk on clouds down there. They're islands, and so their agriculture business is very important, and they can protect it, and they do protect it, because they're exporters. They have to have an export market or they're dead. There's only 4 million people live in New Zealand. I don't think a lot of people realize that. But, yeah, you know, going back to it, when you go to Australia, you know, New Zealand, and places like that, that helps the documentation on being a GBR1 type of company. Yep.
What would your clients actually do with bovine fetal serum?
It's the food for cells to grow. Think of it as nothing but the food for cells to propagate.
Okay.
So basically, it's as simple as take fetal bovine serum, maybe 10% mixed with some other stuff, put 1 cell on, put it in an incubator at 70 degrees, come back in 2 weeks, and you've got 1 million of exactly the same cell. And it was the food for that to be able to prosper.
Gotcha.
Skip, when you think of your 5 top revenue generating products, what are those?
Pig ear flower pots.
Up and down, definitely fetal bovine serum would probably be the highest revenue generator over time. In consistency, I'm going to say bovine spleens because of the amount that we've basically done on that and how consistent that business has been. And in bringing stuff from other countries as well. And now we're trying, I'm looking at Uruguay. Uruguay is one of the only countries that get into China. And I'm also getting ready to start a lab down in Brazil. Brazil is going to be a big difference in the future. They're not right now. But Brazil is producing a lot of fetal. They have a lot of cows. And they're going to be a big producer as soon as they get a hold of their veterinary situation. They can prove that they're watching the animals and they don't have foot and mouth. See, a lot of the world, again, you get back to the fetal calf serum you asked about, to make U.S. products, to make U.S. drugs and pharmaceuticals, you can only take it from Panama Canal North, Mexico, United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. The rest of the world is closed. Why? Because they have foot and mouth, they have other problems that they don't have good control over. So I play a lot of politics in where I send different things. And pricing is a big difference. I can buy all the serum I want in Brazil at $65 a liter. U.S. I'm selling at $250. Australia, fetal bovine serum right now, $1,200 a liter for serum, $600 a liter for blood, because GlaxoSmithKline wants it. And so the big company said, if you want it, we'll pay for it.
All right.
All righty. Thanks, guys.